I was addicted to buying manga. Let's talk about it. Hello all of my otaku friends, my name is Prof Otaku and welcome back to my channel. Several months ago, I posted a rather serious topic on my channel and it was about the scalping of manga and the price surge due to the pandemic and kind of my response to it and a call to action. And it was a very serious thing that I did. It's very different than a lot of the stuff on my channel and it really did well. And I wanted to bring this next topic to light because this is something I have personal experience with, and I think as a manga tuber, I think it's important for us to have transparency in the whole buying process. So if you haven't figured out by the thumbnail already or the introduction, we are talking about manga buying addiction. As a current doctoral candidate at a university, my research gears are turning, and so I decided to do some research into addiction in general and connect it to our world of manga, because I do think that it's a topic that honestly is swept under the rug. You see this on Reddit with the manga collection posts, these manga hauls, and they're huge. And the question that I see a lot in comments and videos and other manga tubers is, how do you buy so much manga? And I think there's just this dangerous perception going on that I just thought that it's important to address. The research today is pulled from an overview of shopping addiction. It is an online article that was written by Dr. Elizabeth Hartney, and it was proofread and approved by a medical doctor named Carly Snyder. And so obviously everything in here is medically cleared, and so, you know, we're not going on Wikipedia or anything like that. As we dive into this topic and reflection is happening, I hope that you find this useful in your buying endeavors. And as a community, what's great about it is that we have the resources to help each other. If you just want to talk in a private setting, please feel free to message me on Instagram. If you just need to vent or just talk about manga buying addiction in general, I hope you feel that this is a safe place to go ahead and talk about that sort of thing, because talking through it really is the first step to kind of accepting the problem at hand. And it's something that I really struggled with. So let's start with just addiction in general. Addiction is part of a disease model. It is a biological origin. It has a biological function, and that causes chemical changes to the brain. And so everybody has the potential to have an addiction or be addicted to something. It's not like you're born with it or you're not born with it and you'll never get addicted. This is something everybody genetically has or inherently has, and it's something that can just fester over time. Now, in terms of this specific addiction, we're talking about shopping addiction. Addiction stems from hurt. It stems from a desire for something. And so that's why it's so important that with addiction, there's acceptance of the fact that there is one and there's underlying problems associated with that addiction. So piggybacking off of that last statement, shopping addiction or just addiction in general tends to start between late teens and early adulthood. This is from a new job, a traumatic event, an influx of money, and that we see that a lot in those years when our lives are changing. Of course, then you go into a shopping addiction based on these life changes. So there are two types of addictive buying habits that are important to know. The first one is impulsive spending. That's spending, you see it, you want it, you buy it, and it's instantaneous and you get instant gratification. You get a rush of endorphins and you have that satisfaction of having that right there, right now. And so relating that to manga, we can see that going to a physical store and actually buying the series right there. And it's easy, it's simple, and it's impulsive. You're not thinking about it, you're just buying it. You want it, you get it, And that's how it starts to stack up. Impulsive spending doesn't just have to come from going to a physical store, seeing a manga, grabbing it and saying, I want it. This also can happen online as well. And the biggest culprit of this is Right Stuff. Not saying that Right Stuff is terrible. I love Right Stuff, and obviously most of my manga has been bought from Right Stuff. I'm more talking about the summer and winter sales. That is the optimal time to have impulsive buying. I know it's so hard. You see these deals, Dorohedoro 50% off, all these Blu-rays 50% off. You got every Viz special, 50% off, 8 straight weeks of sales. And that's where you're clicking. It's so easy to just click and go, you know what? I didn't think I wanted that series, but man, 50% off. I cannot resist. And there's your impulsive spending. It's a very dangerous thing to do, but it's a really hard thing to control, especially during the holidays. The next part of shopping addiction is called long-term compulsive buying. And so this basically comes from your monthly pickups, basically. So your ongoing series. And it's really easy to fall into this rabbit hole. You start a brand new series, you start Spy Family, you start Jujutsu Kaisen, you start Undead Unluck, and the next thing you know, you've got 30-40 ongoing series. Well, you want to read what's up next. You put those pre-orders in. That's that long-term compulsive buying. Do you need to do that? Not necessarily, but it's that addiction. I need to keep going with this. I need to keep finishing the series. Manga is a huge culprit of this with its long series, these monthly release dates. It's really easy to get into that monthly buying rabbit hole. So now that we've talked about the different types of spending in an addiction, specifically manga addiction, let's talk about why this is the case. Manga is a collecting hobby, and it's a hard thing to balance collecting and reading. I know, it's all fun and games. You kind of chuckle to yourself. I've got 300 volumes on the backlog and I'm just never going to get to it. And it's a running joke in the community. I get it. I'm one of those people. But it does make you reflect on what is the purpose of my buying at this current moment and our backlog associated with this buying. And so I wrote down here, focusing on materialistic, collecting to collect, the size of the collection, and not enjoying it for the ride or for reading. And so on the subreddit Manga Collectors, I can't remember who was posting it, and it doesn't matter, but they went 3 or 4 straight months of posting, Right Stuff sent me 50 boxes of manga, and it was I was just blown away. And for those of you who've been in the community long enough know what I'm talking about. It was a shock, and people were like, how are you buying so much? That person just dropped off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened to them. But that's a prime example of focusing on the materialistic, collecting to collect, to show the collection off without really enjoying the purpose of it. There's no way you're going to read 1,500 volumes that you had bought in 2 months. There's no way you're going to read that in a year. There's no way you're going to read that in 2 years. And so it's important to enjoy the collection for what it is and to foster the growth organically so that you are financially responsible but also enjoying what you are collecting as well. So I did want to talk about my own personal experience with manga buying addiction. I truly believe that transparency is key to making this a supportive environment where we can hold each other accountable, help each other out. I hope other manga tubers feel they can do the same, and I hope that we can create a dialogue and a discussion of how this personally has affected us. So for me, it really started, I was in a long-term relationship, and that ended in the middle of 2020, and that's when I was using manga as an addictive means to fill a void in my life. And it really kept spiraling downhill, and to the point where it was just totally engrossing my life. And what really helped kind of change my whole mentality on manga buying was starting this channel here and figuring out, what do I want my channel to be about? And I realized, seeing all these hauls and seeing what other people were doing, I was like, I want this to be a channel of information and not necessarily about buying. And I've never been in this community for subscribers, but I just wanted some people to enjoy talking about manga. And I was like, I can't talk about manga if I just keep buying manga the way that I do. And it really made me reflect on how do I prioritize buying my stuff? And that's when things started to go uphill to where it is today, where I feel very good about how I prioritize what I'm buying and what I'm selling. So lastly, let's just talk about some things that we can do as manga buyers to help organize our buying and to help with impulsive spending and compulsive long-term buying. So the first thing I wrote down, pulling the trigger, out of stock versus out of print. So let's just do GTO as an example. GTO is a series that I have wanted for probably a year now. It's something I'd earmarked on eBay, and I was just constantly looking for a good deal. I wasn't gonna overpay like to $1,000 like some people that I have seen. It wasn't just something in my playbook. And so, but I knew that when the deal came up, I was gonna pull the trigger no matter what, but I was gonna show patience in when that deal pulled up. So anyway, last month, a deal came up. I was like, you know what? This is a good price and I need to pull the trigger. I did, and I don't regret it. But with the way that I have been prioritizing my buying and my self-reflection on what I want to keep in my collection, I looked at the collection and went, what do I know will never touch a GTO in terms of its power of a series and its amazingness? And I dumped at least $350 worth of manga out of the collection to help supplement this cost, because I just knew that it was something that even if I read it, it wasn't going to touch this, and this is something that I really valued in my collection. So if I'm going to put that big investment in there, I need to pull something out. Equivalent exchange. Full Metal Alchemist. So these last four things, just quick fire things, are all just standard budgetary things that I think are great things to just think about. But I do know that a lot of viewers are under 18 or in that college age where the money isn't there. And so I think that these budgetary things are great things to bring up as you reflect on your personal spending, and as you move on, you get your first job, you got all that money, so you don't go crazy. Okay, so the first thing I said was Sizzle or Sezzle, whatever it is, the credit card thing on Right Stuff. Do not use it. It's such a dark rabbit hole, and it really hurts you on those sales. You just buy, and then you got these huge monthly bills, and you're just like, man, I'm sinking right now. And so it's important. I always say I never buy a series unless I know I have the money in the bank and it's part of the fun budget and all my bills are paid for 2 months. That's when I will buy something. As long as I got my bills paid for 2 months, for sure, I don't touch my savings account, but then I will feel comfortable with going ahead and buying it. So that's my personal philosophy. You do as you wish. I just want to bring this into a light as I've seen people fall into that credit trap, which is really dangerous. Next thing, don't have too many ongoing series. This is a huge problem I have. On my anime list, I think I have like 40 something ongoing series. I think in terms of series I bring in every month, I think I'm bringing around 20 currently, like pretty consistently, like with the Shonen Jump stuff and whatever. And so, yeah, 20 is a lot, but that's part of my budget, and that's something that I have accepted. Like, this is what I know I can handle. And so it's important that Prom G and some other manga tube is really good about this. They really read complete series. If they're not going to read anything unless it's really complete, and that's a great idea, and I highly recommend that. If I didn't fall into the rabbit hole of ongoing series, I think I would go back and just do complete stuff and then just wait for the series to complete. It's just an easier way to collect, and it's more satisfying as you have more completed series on the shelves. The last tip that I have for you guys is to be more strict with your drops. And so when I first started collecting, I was like, I will buy whatever is breathing. And it really was like that. I was buying anything and everything. I was even buying hot garbage, and I didn't care. I just wanted volumes. And then I totally regretted it when I went to sell it off, because I did take a hit. And I was like, why did I do that? Why did I buy something that I knew I was like on the fence about? So in terms of bringing series in, I'm super strict about like whether I'm really going to like it or not. And so I do my research beforehand. In terms of dropping a series, for example, Undead Unluck. Loved the first volume. Second volume was eh. So if the third volume's eh, it's done. Old me would have kept going with it because, oh, it's the new hot Shonen Jump thing. Like, I just gotta keep going with it. Hopefully it turns out good. No, just drop it. It's just not worth it. And so you can spend your time and your money elsewhere. And so be more strict with your drops. Be more strict with how you sell your manga out of your collection. I have a rule now where if it's under an 8, then it's on the chopping block. If it's at a 7, I might keep it. Most likely will keep it because I know I'll probably reread it. If it's anything below a 7, it's out no matter what. It's just because I know if I gave it a 6, why there's so many other things that are above that. So it would never be on that pecking order of rereading. So dump stuff that you know you're not going to reread. Have a strict margin when you're ranking manga. Whatever's below here, it has to go. So that's it for this video today. I hope this was informative to you guys, and even if this gets no views, I personally wanted to do this video because there's no videos talking about this. So I think it's important to bring up. I hope we can create a discussion about this, and I hope that this just helps one person out there. It really does mean that much to me to be able to hopefully be some sort of source of help for somebody who really is struggling with this and kind of keeping it in a secret place. It's okay. We can talk about it because in reality, what we really want to do is just enjoy the medium of manga and anime together. And that's what's the most important thing. Doing this hobby of collecting in a healthy way. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, tap that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when more of my videos come out. I will see you in the next video. Take care now. Bye-bye.